A choice is necessary, a choice that is extremely costly. And the one we are choosing for is always with us, who is greater than we can imagine. That, in a nutshell, is my takeaway from the gospel we just heard, as well as the gospel that immediately precedes it, which helps give it context to the scene we just heard proclaimed. This passage has to be kept in mind, I think, because if we were to really understand what God is saying by, "This is my beloved Son, listen to him," we have to pay attention to what Jesus just said. And so, in Mark chapter 8, just before this scene, it reads, "Jesus called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, 'If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what can they give in return for their life? Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels.' And he said to them, 'Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see that the kingdom of God has come with power.'" Three things come to mind from this passage today. First, Jesus' call to all those who he invites, "If any want to become my disciples." Note the "if." For a while now in the church, perhaps too long, we have not made that explicit enough that it's an if. If I asked you how many of you are married, tons of hands would shoot up. But if I asked you how many of you are married by accident, not a single hand would be up. You can't get married by accident. You might think differently decades down the road, but you can't get married by accident. We won't let you. Nor can you become a Christian by accident. You must choose. By Jesus saying to us, "If you would follow me," he leaves it abundantly clear that we are free to say to him, "No. Thank you, but no." And I can only become a Christian, that is, I can only become a disciple of Jesus by making a very specific, daily, ongoing choice to follow him. But if, and it is an if, I say yes, Jesus makes no apologies for what it will cost. And it will cost everything. That's not even found in his words that if we were to say yes to follow him, that we must take up our cross. Perhaps we all readily grasp that. But it's perhaps better seen in that expression. We don't see as clearly as we should when he says, "If you were to come after me, you must deny yourself." For years, I understood that as, if I'm going to be a Christian, then I need to live some sort of life of penance. It's Lent. If I'm going to be a Christian, I can't eat meat on Fridays. Or if I'm going to be a disciple of Jesus, then I got to do some fasting. May have to do some things I don't want to do. Well, that's not at all what Jesus means when he says, "If you come after me, then you must deny yourself." It means so much more than that. It actually comes from a word that has to do with real estate transactions. It means that if you were to come after him, then I would need to sign over the rights of my life to him. I renounce the possession and ownership of my life. If you would be a disciple, if I would be a disciple, I must do the same. It means that my life is no longer mine. My plans are now subject to his plans. My will is now subject to his will. And so we see the cost. We have perhaps squeezed him into our lives for far too long, wanting to be a disciple of him, but still wanting to be in charge. And he tells us that's not the way that we are to follow him. So why would anyone want to do this? Why would anyone want to make this choice? The answer is abundant life. Jesus says, I have come not that just so you can have life, but you can have it abundantly. Not just unendingly, abundantly. Which is to say, if we don't renounce our life, we will never have abundant life. It's the Christian paradox. If you were to live, you must die. If you were to want to be free, you must choose to enslave yourself to him. If you want to have it all, you must give it all away. So the Lord gives to his apostles who are stunned by this announcement, kind of like some of us may be stunned by this announcement, a glimpse of who he is, why it would be worth giving it all for him. So for the only time in all of the Gospels, he who has hidden his divinity from them no longer hides it from them in the gospel we just heard. And he is clearly God and blindingly holy. And so he means to give to them encouragement and strength, and to let them know that he who is truly glorious is always with them along this journey of carrying the cross, and that he is far more powerful than whatever could come in their way. So there's no reason to be afraid. We cannot follow someone we do not know. And so I keep coming back to this point. For all of Lent, all 11 days so far, we need to ask ourselves one question. What are you doing these days of Lent to deepen your relationship with Jesus? Not what are you doing for Lent, because unfortunately, often what we do for Lent has nothing to do with our relationship with Jesus. But what are you doing to get to know him better? May we all have an abundantly fruitful Lent.